Welcome to another exciting episode of Melbourne 22. Tonight, we'll find out about an organisation that's fighting against hunger in the community.
We'll discuss something quite incredible called Augmented Reality.
Plus, we've got a terrific performance coming up from local band, the Joneses.
All that and much, much more tonight on Melbourne 22. You're very unprofessional. Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Anna Burgess.
And I'm your other host, Aaron McCarthy, your host who's been here for a while and not off gallivanting on holidays like this one.
Sorry, I was just doing a play around the country. Got stung by a jellyfish yesterday. It's, living the dream, the Australian dream. It's good to be home though. Thank you for the weather, Melbourne.
It's good to have you back.
Now, Aaron.
Yeah?
I know you missed me, but let's get straight back to the news. I think that often we take the little things for granted. Running water, heat, a roof over our heads. But did you know that in Melbourne, many people don't have enough to eat?
Really? I thought that was only a problem in developing countries these days.
Well, you would think so, but the facts are quite shocking. Let's watch this report.
It's usually assumed that hunger and malnutrition is the problem of developing countries. But it's shocking to know that a country like Australia is also facing these problems. And in Victoria alone, 200,000 people go hungry or suffer from malnutrition. In order to fight against this problem, there are different organisations working throughout Melbourne. FareShare is one of them.
FareShare is a charity that's been running for 12 years. We work with businesses that have surplus food, surplus for so many different reasons. And we collect that food, we bring it into this kitchen that we've got here in Abbotsford, where our volunteers, about 100 a day, make 4,000 meals that we give out to hundreds of charities across Victoria for free.
If you are living on the street, if you're having to beg or even busk a few meals to get small change, you can quite easily buy bread rolls, Macca's hamburgers, that type of food. So you can get protein quite easily, but it's the vegetables that are really difficult. So when we make and plan a meal, we plan for about 40% vegetable, 30% protein, and then 30% the binding, which will be either a pasta or the pastry or bread.
To help FareShare fight against hunger, many Melburnians donate their time and money. Without them, the great work done by FareShare would not be possible.
I find volunteering very worthwhile. I feel that I come away from my shift feeling that I've really contributed to make something fantastic for somebody who's not as fortunate as I am.
Job satisfaction wise, it's been probably one of the nicest jobs I've ever had.
With so many Australians facing food shortages, it's hard to believe we throw away more than $5.2 billion worth of food each year. With so many people starving in our own backyard and so many resources being wasted, perhaps it's time we made a change.
The easiest thing is to think twice when you're buying, just to know, what is the shelf life, the fridge life of what you're buying, and how much is going to be going into the bins, into the waste landfills at the end of the day.
When we produce food, when we process food, so much electricity, water, diesel with logistics is consumed. And when we throw out food, and as a country, 1/3 of Australian households now throw out more than $1,500 worth of food every year. When we do throw out that food, we're wasting all of those resources. And I see it as being almost a new frontier environmentally. We're worried about forests, water, climate change, but people don't think when they're throwing out food that they're wasting so many resources. And I think that's going to be something that will change.
$1,500 of food wastage per household?
Yeah.
You'd never realise that the number would be that high, would you? That's crazy.
Now, FareShare are a not-for-profit organisation who are playing their role in the fight against hunger.
Yes, and we are lucky enough to be joined by Elaine Montegriffo, the CEO of Second Bite. Elaine, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Now, Elaine, why are so many people in Melbourne facing this problem of
Well, I think that's a really good question. I mean, Australia is a wealthy, well-developed country. We actually produce more than 3 times the amount of food that we need, that we could possibly eat, and yet there's between 1 and 2 million people across the whole of Australia who are regularly having to access food relief programs because they've run out of food.
Yeah.
And if you look at the figures of people who are defined as food insecure, that's 5% of all Australians. So that's about 1 million Australians who don't have regular, safe access to the nutritious food that they need for their health and well-being.
Wow.
And it simply shouldn't be happening in a country like ours.
Oh, exactly. Now, it's probably a pretty loaded question, but how do we overcome this problem?
That's another good question.
Yeah.
I guess, some of the things that we're doing is looking at the determinants of food insecurity. So trying to understand, well, why is this issue here? What is the problem? And there's 3 key determinants. So it's lack of resources, and that includes financial resources that cause people to be food insecure. It's geographical remoteness from supply. And the other thing is lack of knowledge and awareness about nutrition and healthy eating. Ironically, a lot of the food relief programs, because fresh food is perishable, it's more difficult to move around. So a lot of the traditional food relief programs provide packaged or tinned food. And that's one of the reasons why Second Bite's got such a strong focus on rescuing and redistributing fresh fruit and vegetables.
Now, how is Second Bite fighting against hunger?
Yeah, well, one of the things we're doing, is, as I said, is rescuing fresh fruit and vegetables that would otherwise go to waste. So we're wasting over $5 billion worth of food every year. So we rescue probably about 5 million kilograms of fresh food every year, and we redistribute that to over 1,100 community food programs across all of Australia, where they turn it into healthy meals for people in need. So that's one of the key things we're doing. And the other thing is really focusing on that other determinant of food insecurity, which is lack of knowledge and awareness about nutrition and healthy eating. So we've developed 2 nutrition education programs for the community and for individuals to help them actually understand the importance of nutrition, how to access and how to cook vegetables and fruit. And we see those 2 programs as really important and ways of actually leading people to what we like to call food independence.
Yes.
So they're no longer reliant on food relief programs.
Yeah.
Now, many hands make light work, so if you had 1 or 2 things that we could tell the viewers at home that they could be doing to help the situation, what would that be?
Well, I guess, we have to raise all of our funds for all of our work. We provide all the organisations with the food for free, as does Fair Share, so that's one thing. We rely on a huge number of volunteers. We have over 600 volunteers. And we always need more food because we have agencies coming to us for food. So it's sort of food funds and help, really. And I think, there is a great opportunity for us to work together and to collaborate. This is a huge problem, and it's not as though any one organisation or one sector is going to be able to deal with it. So I think collaboration is really important.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming in,
Pleasure,
Elaine.
thank you.
Now, I wonder if you were to become the Prime Minister for a day...
I think I was going to ask you that question, Aaron.
Oh, well, go ahead.
Because I wouldn't mind booting our Prime Minister off. If you were the Prime Minister for a day, what would you do?
I'd make it compulsory for everyone to watch me on Melbourne 22 each week.
Not
of course, after that, I
no problems there. No, just Melbourne 22.
Wouldn't really care after that because I just live off my big fat pension. I'd eat pizza and watch Entourage reruns. That's what I do.
Now, let's hear from the public. Maybe they've got a better answer.
I would print my face on all the dollar bills.
I would spend much more money on education and culture because that's the only way we can make a better world.
Put like some sort of tax cut on everything so you can go have lunch and a coffee for nothing.
Legalize graffiti all over the world.
The first thing I would do is change all policies around live exports, factory farming.
Oh, free parking everywhere. Yes.
Everything be free. Free to have everything. To go to the museum, to do everything. Free transport.
get all the chocolates and just distribute to all the kids.
Probably get the issues that there is in Australia, make everyone write to like a PO box or like a certain email address, and their solutions, and get everyone to vote on the best solution.
I would make the Friday before grand final a public holiday.
There isn't much you could do, but I would like to maybe give more this kind of constructive, loving, positive feeling to people.
Coming up next, explore the new trends in the world of digital gaming.
Welcome back to Melbourne 22. I'm Anna Burgess. No, you already know that. Now, Aaron, are you a gamer?
Oh, well, you know what they say? Don't hate the player, hate the game.
I'm speechless. What if I said you could integrate the gaming world with the real world through a new technology called Augmented Reality?
I would say that is fascinating.
Let's take a look.
Augmented reality is when you take your reality and you augment it by adding something over the top or adding more information into the situation.
So augmented reality allows us to take what's happening in the real world and augment that, or add in a digital asset to that. So something that's not real, we can pretend that it is in the real world and join those two worlds together, so we can actually create a game or a situation that we couldn't really create before.
So this is Yelcom, an augmented reality arcade game that's played on the back of a t-shirt. So here in front of us we see the t-shirt, and we can point the game at it, and we're seeing a nice green pasture on the back of his back. So as the meteorite carves into his back, the game opens up into an old arcade style breakout game.
So this is a pattern that the device is looking for. It recognises that it's in the area. And so as the pattern comes into view, it suddenly detects that it needs to place that 3D object in that space. With virtual reality, we created a full digital space where everything that we see and move and interact with is digital with, say, VR goggles on. So you look around the room, and instead of seeing a real table or chair, you'd see a computer-generated one. With augmented reality, we can see a real table and chair, and it feels natural to us. But maybe that table and chair has a dragon sitting on it that we've created in the digital world.
And so another major thing that we do is multi-screen experiences. So essentially this is using devices such as Android smart TVs or Apple TVs to project an experience up on the screen in the lounge room, and then also have tablets or iPhones or iOS devices in front of you that you're interacting with.
Time for your close-up! Now, move the screen until you can see yourself in my camera. 1, 2, 3, cheese! Here's your photo.
So what's here is a really interesting interaction between the TV and the tablet. I can actually swipe on the tablet right up onto the screen.
Got it! Woo! Looking good!
What we've done is actually built an augmented reality business card. So here you can see our business cards, and on the back we've got a simple image that we use for recognition. And if I bring that into this iPad application, it's going to turn into an augmented reality garden. So you can see they've got these nice little pumpkins here. But we didn't stop there, because what we've done in this demo is map gravity from the real world through into the virtual world. So if I rotate this garden in the real world, the pumpkins are going to roll using gravity. And if I'm lucky, I can roll it out and we can get a pumpkin down on the table. So we find this is really useful in business meetings. You just hand a few around at the start, and there you go, everyone's lost their concentration for the start of the meeting. We're living in a very information-rich world. There's so much information around. It's the people that are capturing that information and harnessing it in an appropriate way are the people that are getting ahead. So if we can develop new ways to interact with information in a more intimate way through augmented reality, I think that's a really positive direction to be heading.
You came to play with me! Yay!
Aaron, I didn't know you did voiceover work.
Yeah, that was me.
That was you.
I do, yeah. I don't know what to say to
Did that just blow your mind as a gamer?
I am just totally freaked out by that because the possibilities are endless. And I think it's just the tip of the iceberg for that kind of stuff.
I was just thinking about a big ball rolling around my back all that time. I'm kidding.
To discuss new digital gaming trends, we've invited Aaron Vernon, Chief Technical Officer of Two Bulls, and Ollie Brown of Love Shack Entertainment. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks, guys.
You're famous. You look great on camera, by the way.
Thank you very much. I try.
Now, you're in the development stages of all this. How's it all going?
Sure. I mean, technology as a whole, I think we're all can appreciate it's been exploding over the last few years with the advent of mobile technology. Everyone's got mobile smartphones on them. Everyone's got tablets at home. So there's opportunities everywhere. And we've been lucky enough to position ourselves at the tip of several technology waves, some of those being multiscreen gaming and augmented reality.
How did it all start?
Well, we got into it at the right time, basically. When mobile applications first came out, we started developing for them. And we weren't happy just to do regular style applications. We wanted to see what was possible with these devices. And so we just started experimenting and writing different, prototyping things out. We have a very strong prototyping and rapid iteration process at our office. So we just come up with ideas and try them out and see whether people like them.
So, Ollie, what are these frame-type games that are now gaining so much popularity as well?
Well, that's interesting, actually. Our take on it is that we wanted to create a game that was incredibly tactile. Like these touch devices allow you to almost, well, I mean, it's all about tactility is what I'm trying to say. So we wanted to design a game that was basically all about just touch. So we came up with a kind of a prototype that was moving panels around the screen that changed the way the story plays out. And the best way to present that was in a kind of a comic book format. So we created this kind of fictional world and a comic book, and then you can move these panels around. It's so simple, it's such a simple interface, and you can change the story like that just by moving the panels around. So that was how we kind of interpreted these new technologies.
What does this mean for the gaming world? What do you see as the future of all of this? Are we going to be able to jump into a screen one day and just totally interact by having something over our eyes, and then just everything is a virtual world?
I think what we've seen since the invention of gaming, 30, 40, 50 years ago, it's all about new levels of immersion. Started off where there were text-based adventures. You'd write in your input to the computer and you'd see results. Then we had graphical interfaces and mouse and keyboard input, and all of a sudden people felt more inside the experience. More recently, we've got controllers and consoles, and then touch screens. And once again, that kind of gave people, as Ollie's just been talking about, that ubiquitous experience. They really felt like they were part of the experience. They're not just passively interacting with something in front of them, they're feeling it, they're touching it, they're molding it. And what I see with augmented reality and virtual reality with technology such as Oculus Rift coming out, it's the next step in that progression. Immersion is going to be increased once again, and that's really exciting. Beyond that, who knows?
Yeah.
Guys, when you nail it at work, do you just go home and just fist pump? Like when you just go on, tell me, how is it?
Because it's all groundbreaking stuff. There's so many new targets to hit.
It's really like this, because it's the hardest before it's the best, So, for example, some of this augmented reality technology, when we were writing it from first principles, we went through an incredibly tough time of just, things wouldn't be working, things wouldn't work performant on the devices, and then all of a sudden it's that eureka moment. It's like, I've got it.
Absolutely.
And yeah, you do jump up and fist pump the air, and you show it to all your mates, and you know when you've got it right because people can't put it down.
Yeah,
and that's what feels so great.
I think the other thing is it's like this stuff is really hard. It's all very design driven. So like for instance, with our game, we are designing it entirely on paper. So we don't even touch any computers or any devices. We make it all little sketches on paper and move those around and make sure all the logic works. And then we'll go to the computers and build it.
Guys, your work is absolutely amazing, and it's a very exciting world out there, and we look forward to the future of gaming. So thanks very much for joining us today.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bow down to you. We're just humble hosts.
We are.
Again, it's time for a break, but don't go anywhere. Come back and join us on Melbourne 22.
We'll be here.
Coming up next on Melbourne 22, enjoy a stunning performance by the Joneses.
Really feeling it.
Feeling the flow?
Really feeling it.
In the groove? Doing it circular like a carousel. Welcome back to Melbourne 22. This is a production of NMIT Screen and Media students.
Yes, and now let's have a look at whose life has been highlighted in this week's edition of 60 Seconds with ...
My name is Russell Stuckey. This is a family business started by my father in 1966, and I've been working here since 1969. So I actually went to university to do an engineering degree, and I dropped out in the first year. And my father said, as a fallback, why don't you come and work in the family business? So I did, and it suited me fine. It's a fascinating job. Just selling tyres themselves I find quite interesting, but the aspect to our business that makes it more interesting is we sell racing tyres, motorsport tyres, rally tyres, tyres for race cars. I get to go to the racing circuits and meet interesting people. Very difficult to train someone for this industry because there's certainly no apprenticeship, there's no traineeship, it's just experience. It's an industry that I enjoy, that I've spent my whole life doing, and I enjoy understanding the industry and helping other people.
Cute.
Russell, seems like such a cool guy.
Such a good guy. He can change my tyres anytime.
Yeah, that's right. And in the industry, you know, Confucius used to work in tyres as well.
Did he?
Yeah, that's how we came up with that quote, man who run in front of cars all day eventually get tired. You know that one?
You've really had your quota today
Bad
of
ones.
bad jokes.
I'm ashamed.
Yeah.
Physically nauseous. What do you like most about Melbourne, Anna?
That was a wonderful segue there. Seamless. What do I like about Melbourne? Well,
yes.
my family and friends, but I've been touring around for the last 3 months and I've missed Melbourne. I don't miss the weather, but you know, Melbourne's weather is what it is. But I miss the food, the culture, the arts. It's the most livable city in the world.
It is, it's sensational, and Melbourne is considered a hub of art and culture, and one reason for this is street art. Now recently, we went and took a look at some unique examples.
Melbourne is famous around the world for its street art. This unique expression of artistic creativity can be observed in various laneways throughout the city. Tourists from all over the globe come and visit these beautiful creations. Though street art can be seen in various parts of the world, Melbourne street art is like no other. The City of Melbourne is proud to promote street art and has dedicated numerous lanes throughout the city where the artists can display their creativity.
Melbourne, place to be. City of Melbourne rocks. They've actually designated laneways so that it's legal now. We're going to have our own little Banksies everywhere.
They're facilitating it, which is great because you're going to get less of this and more of this.
Sorry, I didn't. Less of this.
All the, you know, the rubbishy stuff. Like, we don't want any more of that.
You
People
tagging
out
yourself
there.
all the way around Melbourne.
Yeah.
What would
Like-
your tag be?
AMAC.
Moving on.
But I wouldn't do it, so I wouldn't have a tag.
Nah.
Anyway.
Segue.
It's time to say goodbye, but before we do, remember you can always get in touch with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We also accept smoke signal, message in a bottle, homing pigeon.
Is that how you met your girlfriend?
It was actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote a letter, popped it in a bottle, bloink, like that. Walking along the Yarra River, picked it up, da-da-da-da-da, and I was like, tweet me, and it started from there.
I have missed
That's
sitting
the
in
short
silence
version.
observing you. Now, join us again next week, same time, same day, same channel.
Same people.
Same people this time. Yes, I'm back.
Hopefully. Now, we're going to leave you with a stunning performance from the Joneses with a Z.
Last night's meal in the bin. Tonight couldn't see anything happen when you're feeling with nothing left to lose. Last night